Namo Guru Be Namo Buddhaya Namo Dharmaya Namo Sanghaya Namo Guru Me Namo Buddhaya Namo Dharmaya Namo Sanghaya Namo Guru Me Namo Buddhaya Namo Dharmaya Namo Sanghaya Kanden Lajen Gwenjen Togan Ragbara Shosa Pongde Chunze Chejen Gyabo Gwenjen Losan Seda Jeba Nede Shekso Denje Nanga Singdi Bende Chezu Lama Jebe Zunga Talon Debe Sunam Shingjo Tenba Jeje Kejara Shoso Sheje Chungun Jebe Lodru Kesan Nawe Jinjo Leshi Tabe Beje Lamen Zebe Tongde Chenbe Tenden Lacha Yi wo che yun na so me do Ti xin du bi nang sen je jia Wen xiang yi zhi qi jin jia zuo Shen na xing zhuo jie la Kan xi tong men di ne sang ba Lun a yi su mi ge ji ji Tibetan Dharma Sumje Mede Ning ne Jeban Chabu So So Ning me de Mang de Dobla Shuje Bangbe Tenjo De Yu Gombo Jeje Labjin Zeba Daja Samban Tabe Yirang Jeju Lama Damba Jenam Shugu Kala Jinzi Jinji Jidara Zambe Duje Sim Sabje Chuje Chawa Abdu Namda Vese Yingle Xingba Songju Kola Chado Minga Tame Nagu Shugu Rabda Side Bado Minu Denba Dazo Chinye Sabe Gewa Dendam Zhuwa Gunla Kangbe Tiebara Chizu Losan Chaba Denbe Ningbo Ringdo Seje Mingme Zewe Tejin Jinre Se Chime Kimbe Wangbo Tigo Mali Zhomze Sangwe Kanjin Kebe Zhujin Zongka Ba Losan Chabe Shabla So Mingme Zewe Tejin Jinre Chime Kimbe Wangbo Jambe Yang Tigo Mali Kanjin Kebe Zhujin Zongka Ba Losan Chabe Shabla So Mingme Zewe Tejin Jinre Se Chime Kimbe Wangbo Jambe Tebo Mali Jomze Sanwe Ta Hanjin Kebe Zogyen Tsong Lozan Chambe Shab Sowande Panden Sawe Lama Rimbo Tazo Jiuro Bende Densho La Kajin Shimbe Kone Buson Toje Wudu Zedo Panden Sawe Lama Rimbo Tazo Ningaram Beme Densho La Kajin Shimbe Kone Choda Temo Wudu Zedo Panden Zawe Lama Rinpoche Taso Ningaram Beme Kone Jezon De Changju Ningbu Ba Tenba Ju Masam Jume Shera Haru Maje Manga Namge Ngo Sozo Rangli Yije Juyu Tuzon Geve Chazelo Tean Ta Gade Para Samgade Bodeye Soha Tean Ta Gade Para Samgade Bodeye Soha Teata Gade Para Samga Bodhiye Zoya Gere Tongda Yajo Shewa Mede Nebe Gendan Dewa Temban Roje Pezo Sojo Ne So should Cheda Zoje Jonon La Janjo Mando Dane Jazo Dagi Chujurun Jebe Chonam Je Rola Benje Sanje Robara Sho Cheda Zoje Jonon La Janjo Mando Dane Jazo Dagi Chujurun Jebe Chonam Je Rola Benje Sanje Robara Sho Cheda Zoye Chonan La Janjo Bando Dani Jazo Dagi Chujurun Jebe Sonam Jien Rola Benje Sanje Robara Sho
Senje Taji Toja Lana Meva Yangda Zoyo Senje Kongo Shibu Sheni Je Tabasha Tishi Di Tambe She Se Nyame Kunu Shanshu Senje Ma Senje Se Zan Se Barshi Se
I would like to remind every one of ourselves to take a moment and cultivate the highest form of motivation. We call it Bodhisattva motivation, or the altruistic motivation, seeking complete enlightenment or Buddhahood for the sake of all other sentient beings. And with that kind of at least contrite bodhicitta altruistic motivation, we should participate in this discourse or teaching on the Bodhisattva's perfection of samadhi or concentration. Just to remind ourselves where we left off and what we have been discussing, we have been discussing the need to reflect on attachment to sensual pleasures and other things, and so that we will be able to cultivate the mental stability.
no simje shawa shipme kasa goba shawa se yina ta no simje shawa de zo da debe de jar de premier shaba deja de wadil here that the Nimi here or what this or that Nimi the Kadeshi or Sena Kursa Judoko as the Karis and Tomo began chance of Java in the premier delegation mid saying or delegation she was love saying till you got about that case I direct in the was saying say in the Lemo was a dosonta and the Kalima was Javaris. What this was that the Kursa Lamsa began Kursa Shaza Lamsa Jara Yomara Pichi. The Kajiba girl to Yunda to Sheda. Nearly get a get the Shene Shaza Jessie or did a lot more work get a share to the Dito Dalia and Doso don't go a Millaria, Roajo go to Legamo, your issue.
Then again, this Sonia so permission mother that Kebale Pajacho or
No.
Sonia did the premier son the mother, but Kebale Pajacho or
the Jeva la Sheva, don't share there. Jeva the Shartse design, the premier said, tell Kalima Jang. And the Jangi Met say, saying it, Jeva the sense water.
in a palace Jacho was a Kebala Chiba Chalroda.
See, Jacho, it is Chizashinada Javati because put the Pama there, but promoting Amalia,
So we are on page 108 and stanza 40. Those of you who have the same English translation as I do by Stephen Batchelors. And stanza 40 reads in this English translation, for the sake of, in the parenthesis they put women, many requests are first of all made through the go-between. All forms of negativities, even notoriety, means bad reputation, are not avoided for their sake, and so forth. So it's important to clarify the context here. That's what I was trying to check with Geshe. Of course, this reflects very much ancient Indian tradition, and which I believe still is relevant in the footnote. That usually in the Indian tradition, men are trying to look for, brides and wives, isn't it? And so that requires a lot of, by tradition, doing a lot of things, fulfilling. It's not easy just to find a wife just like that. And so it's from men's perspective, right? How much efforts are required to be able to find a life partner, right? In the traditional sense, means a wife. So sometimes it takes many years to find, a wife, and you might have to find, here it says go between, maybe today we might call it matchmakers, right? You have to find somebody who will represent you, and then you send the gifts to that family or the prospective wife, right, to be able to make the connection and establish all of that. And then after a long time, when everything has been agreed, so to speak, now you have to arrange for the wedding or the marriage. There's a lot of work, right? Just to find a wife from that perspective is not, easy. And in the process, you have to, of course, send a lot of gifts, spend your good earned money. You have to find the right people who will represent you well, so that don't misrepresent you, and your dream is not fulfilled. So it requires a lot of planning and strategies and so many things, And so all of this are related to attachment, to finding a wife. So I was checking with Geshe in today's time, right? Because we want to clarify, like, could it also apply to, like, women try to find a husband or a man? More or like, yes, of course. We clarify the context here, right? We're using a man trying to find a wife is the classic example. It just doesn't mean all the things we say about what women only applies to the women, maybe some very unique, but it could also pretty much apply to the men as well. Okay, so keep that perspective in mind, otherwise we might misunderstand it. It's just my little footnote there. So as Geshe explained, that finding a life partner in that sense is not very easy. That you might have to spend long time, many years, right, to prepare for that. And you have to make a lot of money, build up your wealth, otherwise, you may not succeed. And then you have to find the right person, a go-between, a matchmaker, I don't know what is today's right word, to go and speak on your behalf. And so it requires a lot of efforts and a lot of preparations. But it's all kind of contingent upon the fact of our attachment to, a man's attachment to a woman, of finding a woman, a wife.
What did Kasatadi Tanda Judoka said, Judoka said, the Tomboya, in the form of Tumba do Dilia, Puzzle mid Getting of getting Momoshi College Jaguars. And there's a mother in the pig, Loyundo Singadina, Givo Zumoto, the Chikdashin, Tinder Soto and Doya Mamoyoris, so soul doing Tilashi Nimu Yoris. She the Judoka said, Haji, yeah, do what they be Judoka out of the day. Tumba Devia, in Gondet of Goddess and the Casing Mamboshi, Tilashi, Lamundo Yoshi, Tuisenia, Tela Kalima, Josoma Tongu. And the remember saying Logim sort of shady with drain and the sort of looking over yours. Which said that and called Judoka said the Tinder is at.
So as we are, the larger point is reflecting on the faults and the headaches that go along, right, just to fulfill one's mundane wish or aspiration. Even that doesn't seem to come very easily. It requires a lot of efforts and a lot of planning and all of that. That's what we're talking about, and as Geshe explained, that this is in ancient time. Maybe you also need to find a person, a delivery man. What do you call that? It's not a postman, right? But the one who delivers the love letter between you and you, X and Y. So you have to find a trusted person. That's one. And then you have to buy really good gifts, right, to be able to entice because you just can't send an empty letter. And then you have to be very patient. It's not going to come right away. It might take months and years to fulfill your wish. It's a lot of things, right? So we have to reflect on all of, even to fulfill one's mundane aspiration. And this is a part of a major point called, the causes necessary to pursue your mundane aspiration is not easy one. It's a very difficult process. Okay, it requires a lot of work. And then, of course, if we get involved in, let's say, affairs or sexual misconduct or things like that, you are seeking the same person that somebody else is very much interested in, like that. So this can get even complicated more, entanglement, isn't it? And sometimes in the process, that one could lose one's life because people tend to kill each other, when they are not able to fulfill their wish and somebody is obstructing them, right? So all of these things are part of the faults or the parts of difficulties and challenges we have just to find a life partner,
What did you joke or say the Kaja?
No.
She the Delia in the said Delicious and so the premier Tondal Tamyama so Chava Mai was shown as it was. What did that low you see the customer see the Chava Mai share? And then so younger you share. And it's just among younger to a share. Said I take a cursa. Nimu Menda, the car, Mawasi. So said the Chapa members, could not you made always and Didagia Tondal Seniaco, Beduja, Ming Shen, Ming Yamashan, Tonsung do as you are, direction, Conje, Titondal, Ganga, so big, no Ganga Juma to go to Shagoris, what is your Takaji?
So where you find the word mentioned, even notoriety, that the word really, the meaning of that is the bad reputations, right? So sometimes, like say, we might say, well, usually that is a really nice person, right? But now in order to find a woman for himself, the person does things which are not befitting of the person, and the person's reputation goes down, isn't it? But even he doesn't seem to care, so one gets a very bad rap, and people say, yeah, wonderful person, so sorry, got involved. So such things. And then as we mentioned, that sometimes because of the relational entanglement, so either you get killed or somebody get killed, so we could lose life, and then in the process we find creating a lot of negativities, and these negativities can precipitate our rebirth in bad migrations in the future, where the suffering is just, unimaginable. So all of these things are tied up with, one's attachment. In this particular case, man's attachment to a woman, of finding a woman of his dream, kind of thing. Yeah.
Oh, because okay, go never do the yoris. I tell you, people can so that in Chaya, we see by so that the maison is some stone is here. Mother Chaya, you don't want Kachaka or Marsuata. So if you make you come, you want the chip and show the governor, Jimmy, Roa, the judge knows you. Maybe you did a yellow, shape the tabernas. Dici Jigwada Norze Seve Niera Dobi Gube Risa Diva Diva Kyungruji Pumbo Turudu Poet Kyungru Chever Meva Ninji Tende Niela Dogovesa Sangi Chadan Bese Move you the one here, men. Rala said, then do always Chumadam, the Dala on members, he for me, she sheva. Rala Rawantan, Rang the girl, some kind, maybe. He for me, so can read you from Borono and Shay. Dibuja Mevali, KG. Yiche Tangbo Rab Dujing, Che Yons Shani, Chi Nyangele Debara, Mundra Shiba, Nyangele Deva, Topji Jase, Lamsu de Mundro She, Shaojing Yaba, Rangla. David Sujese, Mebate, Pumiso, Debe, the Shabe Shashing, Shady Tea told you, Bevar Shivet, Tava Yangle Tobiese, Paju Shivese, Tito Mise, but 10 days. Then the dog drummer, Jigbash Shimbo, the drummer, Jigbash Shimbo, Shakbane. Premier Shaba Misebe Sanje Nanje de Bata Premier Deba Yong Ma Lam di Shangju Menjuru Premier Naba Ma Dembara Judu Shendu Chor Tar Kebe Tene Nabara Pang Sheda Dashok Shiba Yang Deja Simdi de Draw me, draw my Deja Simdi, Yang de Mendo, she Shangju, she Shangju Pang, Yang de Tober, Minjua de Las, did that do it disaster? Was the Shiba de Miguel de Grova, Miguel, that could you are Jimotria, Tavi Juldra Yamara, this was that. 现在这在菜地里因为那烧着呀，那烧的别个当面吃呀，这那个被牛肉毛包在地里炒了东西呀，在起码现在你被他呀给让他没事吧，你说没得没个牛，我听这是会用着现在，你下午有个朋友可能现在朋友的可能没找这是不是早上谁叫了很多，这场的人么子就，这人这些一定往江山里面吧，这被一定往的被罗嗦当回来，这个你这个要嘛这些，现在说是被区别昂个第三个单三个星期落线的，现在咱那台湾的菜地了说是被两万多那样托个嘛这些，我这里那个你是这个你们说的。
So as Krishna read from the extensive commentary and explained, that attachment to women, we're dealing from men's perspective, right? Keep that in mind. That attachment is an afflictive emotion or a delusion, and it can itself negativity, and it can make us do negativities. Attachment to a woman is never going to lead us to the state of liberation and nirvana. Yeah. Actually, it makes us do a lot of negativities, and that could precipitate our rebirth, as we said before, in the bad migrations. So attachment, doesn't get any good rep here. It's bad. Okay, it's detrimental, as you can see. So then, as Geshe says, that if we look at the body, that man is attached to women. This is where in the West we often get a lot of other misunderstanding. My footnote. I'm always very overly sensitive to do this, which never has a problem in Tibetan community. But anyway, footnote close. So I want to be very careful. Don't misunderstand it. We are looking from man's perspective, and that could be applied to the man as well, as I said before, mostly, that the women's body consists of what we call 32 impurities or impure substances, literally translating. Okay? Footnote, it could mostly apply to men too. Footnote close. In the West, I'm trying to be very balanced here. And if we could see those 32 impurities, there's nothing to get attached to. It's not worth our getting attached to it, isn't it? It's because of our own distorted perception that we see something that is impure as being pure, isn't it? And then that somehow generates attachment to each other's body. Yeah? So these are the demerits, the disadvantages that we have to reflect upon to be able to let go attachment to our body.
我在地空地上多，可是，多这么多嘞，几百是不下班呢，后面下班没事呗，上街那对吧？等后面等吧，又没嘛，咱的长久民主这民主，咱的长久民主。为民主为后面南吧，后面南吧马甸吧，主动性的出吧的人，开外天天南吧帮写的，大少是吧烈阳是吧样。điều tra xem thế tiền trốn rồi mày điều tra xem thế nhà ngân thế mình rồi sẽ sống suốt không nhà thế thấp ở mình rồi tiền là ở thế ta có gì sạc bát nó sạc bát nó thì thắc về sạc bát về cái sạc bát chẳng thế rồi thế thứ gì sạc bát cũng đi đâu thì mà đi có thì sạc bát thì xe thì số đó mình thấy chứ có chỗ nào sẽ rồi mà rồi có cho những người khác hay mà rồi 다 들을래 내가 때 사바즈 자주는 자 뭔가 뭐도 주로 제가 진짜 샤베나 두쇼도 테레스 어디서 다 제가 들어서나 premier 그 맞아 이제 premier 그 통도잖아 이제 루드가 나시 그 손색을 해서 다 가지 손색을 해서 어디서 그 노아는 이제 premier 랑 개발에는 많이 되게 단단한 승문 되게 총을 부터 비자들 되게 하고 있어도 어디서 뭐지 premier 요데탄 트레시는 어디가 제가 사람 뭐 풍야 주리스 어디다 도와주면 도다 너 뭐도 들이야.
So a number of sutras have been cited in the commentary to substantiate the point that we already made, and one of the sutras is called the Chandra Prabha Sutra or Moonlight Sutra. Moonlight is the name of requester there. So in that particular sutra, metaphorically speaking, attachment to women's body, from men's perspective, is like a noose, right? That's put around your neck. But this noose is unlike the ordinary noose. The ordinary noose is something put on your neck and they choke you, and maybe at the most happen is you die. You lose your life. But this noose of attachment not only harms just one lifetime, it can harm many lifetimes. So this is a very nasty noose around one's neck. It affects so many lifetimes, metaphorically speaking there. So watch out, and a man should be very careful the way he relates to women, and so don't get a noose on you, around your neck, the noose of attachment. That's the thing. And in what called Vinaya, monastic, discipline related text, as Geshe explained, that how can somebody prevent attachment to women? They said in that Vinaya text, when you see an older woman, treat her or look at her as she were your mother, isn't it? It's older person, isn't it? And if you find who's older than you, doesn't feel like your mother, but maybe older sister, okay? And some is much younger than you, your younger sibling. That is the perception that helps for men not to become attached and clingy about that we do, because your perception is you're seeing them more like your mother and siblings, and that's what is stated in a Vinaya text.
Jigden de paru de jigden na jigshi na pumi kede dewe cho de ba de na teda pumi na ba pum pumi ta de pa ma na jigden de dang paru de na shi uba pon de jing kan yi da na jo de da kan yi nyang de do de me di pumi pa sha she song ba so da xian yang xiang shi sin be de nu da da dese gibi çize gibi şarjı gibi şivaso lejang yemi mangdi songsos o dire kandida tanı ngosu dire do songsha di kanje kara pümüle şabati sen de la peki no lunjo ga seya eni jawa chimala ya nyinso modame bunda o dire deve doja seya di migara Asheta Tiso ko Yindra Doya Tishori. Seta Tabikans be said the Kibo doing trouble, Tarva doing trouble. What is so that kind of liquid was doing in the premier shower bongo is what it is.
So as Krishna continues to explain, so in those sutras, so it is stated that in attachment to sensual pleasures, it's never leads us to a state beyond suffering or nirvana. Yeah, so being attached to a woman's body from men's perspective is a part of that attachment to sensual pleasures. And those who truly seek happiness in this life and who really want to enjoy the happiness of nirvana or liberation, then they should understand that attachment to sensual pleasures in general and that of a woman's body, right, it really is fraught with a lot of issues and problems. In this life, as we said, right, you spend all your life like building the wealth so that you thought you will succeed in finding your right woman. So that means you are willing to sacrifice hard-earned money or wealth to be able to get the women you want. And in the process, we end up getting entangled with other people's aspirations, and as we said before, we might get killed each other. And we get a lot of negativities, and these negativities will even bring more suffering to us in the future as we are reborn in unfortunate states.
In the premise of among the songs, Xianyang Changshi Simbe Denuda, the among the songs so Jabba the Jabba Yangan de Shiba Gayaton the Shiva Song La Tenny Chi Chiva Gayesh Simbe Ton du Joa Mississippi, but they che maybe tono se da premier big Rebecca order about direct said Delia Gavasia the Gavasia che meva Duja Shidaris. Yin Song the said del Sozo be Lungjo the Yanda Nyamya Shiva Shima Yin Song Doya or today juries or said this was the Delia in Tomo do Yonde Yomaris or Terida.
So in the Bodhisattva's many discourses, there are reflections or discussion of all the problems of faults or demerits associated with attachment to sensual pleasures in general and attachment to, from men's perspective, women's body. And so that attachment never brings anything good in a sense. It is a real troublemaker, as we already discussed quite a bit, that just to fulfill that attachment's wish, you have to work very hard for years, build the wealth, and then willing to spend the wealth, right, to get the women. And then, in the process that we might get entangled with other people who are pursuing the same women, right? And then hopefully we don't kill anybody here. That could happen. And then in the process, so many other negativities, karmas are created, and then these are the real causes of more suffering in the future, right? So if we look at this from this perspective, the point we gain is that, well, attachment is not worthwhile to pursue, isn't it? Yeah? And so that's the lesson we learn from discussing all these demerits there.
Oh, dear, the share did it. Karsa gave a premier shabby name. The premier gave a shabby and the Tanda Chigba, Nimika Chigba, that is all Jahangema. The church knows the Karsa Chawara the Shomadia Suksha, said Sanjay Shubang Shaji. Rabjun told Song so she had what he said that this young get him, Timber 可是学娘子连个没有的嘛的，手学中着往些那些做学中这些呢，那然后就就不刚做学娘子连个是把天天都是从的这这样去的学的话，我这边的可是他，但是对吧？这边你们做的，后面这把想那这把后面想这把的，东西我想我说。
So great. Now Krishna himself spoke balance here. That's what I always wanted to hear. Otherwise, I had to add a balance in my footnote. That's all I can do. So as Geshe explained, that why the examples tend to be more from men's perspective in these teachings, right? And then women become the point of reference too. Is during Buddha's time, when Buddha was giving teaching, largely it's constituted by, monks. And monks are men, okay, they're not women. In case, I don't know, English word says monk is a woman, I don't know, that's what I have to say. Monk means women. California, we have to define it, yes means yes, no means no. So monks means men, okay? Of course, there were lay people listening to teaching as well, because primarily the monks were the predominant ones. So Buddha tend to give them the focus and give a lot of things, right? And for them to stay on the path, because they said, we have renounced the world and we are dedicated to the Dharma. And so Buddha said, okay, if that's what it is, so don't get entangled with and because that's what you said. You want dedicated to the Dharma as a monks. Yeah? So, but attachment, whether it is to men's body or women's body, is qualitatively the same, isn't it? And women getting attached to men's body, all the things we just talked about women, it applies to that same attachment, because attachment is attachment. It is a delusion, and it'll make you do all negativities. And so we can talk from either perspective, but the point is the same, isn't it? It's not like men's attachment to women is really bad, and women's attachment to men has some kind of exception to the rule. No. Attachment will never lead to liberation. It never brings us a genuine happiness, and it is a troublemaker. It brings a lot of, it can smear your name, reputation. As we said earlier, generally people say, wonderful person, but, that is the but. But, and so this is why, because who made you do the but part? It's the attachment, So this is how we reflect on the issues and try to prevent or let go attachment.
this is the chance I have the premier don't ya koi never do. Don't you do the Lusu Jagal, you this or that. She only gave us the premier chant, Petaya, Zulu, she was. That you see. And it did see I was the Turuk on the road with the Tali, Yavistada. Until he not know how usually Shaya, which big Judos and the Yomaris. What is it? Today, shall we in the Turul, she be rolled down. And the Muslim time called Devgia Yomari, Tonga Yoenza, to tell you, Gonyum Sene, Tata Tonga, Bemik, Dona. And the Tudor you were don't go use it and call some of them rest or this is it.
So what follows, kind of a preview, is that, of course, here our perspective is men getting attached to women and women's body in particular, so this is the examples are very much grounded in Indian customs and traditions, right? Indian tradition is that before you get married, you are not supposed to look at the real face of your wife. It is kind of covered by the veil beautifully, everything. But the man is dying like every second, I want to see my wife's face, right? And that. And there's so much excitement and attachment there. And now from Dharma point of view, that attachment, right, is that, well, if you're that excited, when this woman dies and her body is in the cremation ground, go and look at her. Now that's real. Nothing covers it, isn't it? At this point, and as we see here later, it's like a skeleton plastered by beautiful flesh. And it's dressed up in a very beautiful dress and all the ornaments and everything, right? But that's not the real. The real is as you take off all those things, then what is the real, right? That is. So that reality can be seen at the end when the same woman, same face, is that person. Now look at her. At that time, are you still excited and still, right? No. That face looks like scaring you, like, oh my gosh, I can't look at this. Yeah. So why? It's the same person. The before, you can't even wait a minute to look at her face. It's the same person right now that scares you like anything. You know? So think about that. Compare and contrast, and reflect on this.
Oh, there, because of showing for me, there showing to do you have a rather done. And that so showing to do rather than tell you Shemalo, Shaya, be Shasanja Yomarava, so that these are going go to Shani, any to do give a rather, Tanda Rob Magic only, Pumego, so in the and the Tadu Ranshin of the Otinesi, in some going in the Gongores. Or to go just die and permit Sawa Jigmar, what is Jigmar is, or this is it.
So why this kind of thing is useful with sexes, right? Because the women who is life and breathing, and the body, which is the skeleton frame, blasted or covered by beautiful flesh, and then dressed up very beautifully. But that body is in the very nature of what we call decay, isn't it? And with the passage of time, it shows. And then when she dies, it's the same person, same, body. But at that time, it repulses us, isn't it? Instead of attachment, detachment happens like, ew, But before it's the attachment, right? So if we look from two perspectives, we can have much more holistic perspective. Gonyo means balance it. It's the same person, okay? So why you have so attachment right now, and then you have so much detachment in the sense like repulsed by the body? Because the body is in the nature of that decay, that we are very much attached to. So as we think about these things, it really helps us to be able to prevent the attachment or deal with attachment to the body.
Oh, this was because Jigwa Bishava Miribani, she to do the power now. God the Gizilla Sabes, Ruguni the Chiva Tony name Migushi, Mayor, don't know she never lion. Lion, Jiki, Tawashina. Tata Somi to so Rot Rokombar Junge Jumbu Don Shakba Shubalandi, she never shave Roland, she in the same she should soon saw Jan Guy Jang Jing Yungu Shiva Jury, soon a cheap music day. Roland Jiva Shiva, that Jigba Rigje, Cha me so Shiva was. She did that. To do the God the book Roy had the Davina, and she know Magilia, tell Shaya, big over the Zan Yomaris. Said that to do live road that to do magical Pemigo, so the Jigba Yari, to do Nil do the Chikashi or Jigbaris. Said that this of the in it that did a Shabashi Rola Shabaki series or did the Riba goes on to Tango.
So as Krishna explained that as far as the form of a woman that a man is attached to is the same whether she's breathing live or when she stopped breathing. Okay? And that body is in the nature of transitoriness, decay. That's why eventually the body gets dismantled, isn't it? And so as we know that, we hardly get attached to a dead body because it repulses us, isn't it? We think like, why would I? It even scares us, freaks us out. But it's the same form of the body earlier we were so much attached to, And so this is why we said we need to really reconsider our perspectives and perceptions on things and see whether we can balance it out, right? So that we are able to prevent attachment to each other's body.
De la Shabbat Mumbari Mumbam Shabbat Mumbam. This Shabbat Juna Shawi Maison Premier Pumbo did Kurso Mayobar to do the Toanaya Shabi Senji Senji Mende de Durila to do the Pore in Mayoba te Kumi Tela Gova me to Yan, the Kurso Jes, Yomalani, charging Shemba Shembe, she the Tiga Mezama Sumbe source of the to do rather anyway, Magic one the Pemigo Road Suboni, the water Chibajigaris says that. To do begin Rotel Shaba Mirivanashi, and no Pime Shaba Rigmariam, and the Pime Shabanashi, Rola and Shaba Jaguris. But the Ribon goes on of the
So I think the logic that is used here, or the reasoning, Ripa, is that if we feel, we in the sense men, that a woman's body is worth attachment, then it should be the case whether that woman body is alive or is dead, isn't it? It's the body we're attached to, but that doesn't seem to be the case. When the body is covered up very beautifully by dress and ornaments, everything, then we are so attached to it. When the body shows its reality naked when it's dead, right? Then we don't feel like hugging her. We don't feel like embracing her, and we get repulsed, We start to feel detached in a sense. Why is that case? That's not, so to speak, fair, isn't it? In the beginning, this is the same body. We were two, like huggy, Now it's not. That's not fair. But if we think that because the body is in the nature of decay, it's not worth what we're attached to, then the same rule should apply whether the body is alive or body is dead. Shouldn't it be?
No, that Maison won't Jovala, Shamiribala, so Timra Maison no Sosola, Shamiribani, Juicheva maybe Sene, Chikbunyele, Dibucheva maybe. Maison Shawadan, Kaju Nigan Joa, Chevayina, Tignele, Shawalani, Mikashi, Mikacho and Zena, Kajon, Begenji, Tonga Shimala, Chuji Gani, Janzi Tonga Shendi, and Jeva Shedi, Nika Ju Maison Legion, Nika Maison, Diva Sumbe So. Shawan Jingawa, you tell a Mugo Yan, tell any Shimbelam, Riveta Machingo, Gawa, Rina Java, the Java, Chevy, Koma, young Koma ye, non Koma, non Sanchin, and yes, near Beba, Junction, near Bala. God is but Rina Jaya Chingawa Zaba Maino She never said this Pangni Maison Bashige Kanshin Chingawa Gokune Maison and Zabala Gash Shaba Minde Shabane. Dende Mebachu, Maison, Mombade, Maison, Chingawa Yimba, Mondi Church, T. Nizu Misheva, Shinjalogi, 多别没早晚先把的，现在现在没人说些吧，样呢，性别人讲吧，你不把平面的，绿的高些吧，平面有绿成高完早吧，一些的，没有那些，对对就没早晚，成高完了，早晚了，么呢上班。是吧？天天没人说些讲上班生说是，考试天了他，不是多个都不是什么这个，你不知道的来，你想法的计划是用过的，开始那是刚刚用过的，现在想法的计划是要做不到，你开始那就是没用的，但是要么的计划的用，这不计划用过的是，我就是我的。现在别这个对面的这个，这些不是那个这边个，在南山这个时候的这个，我现在不把这别这边没这些不收给我这年呢，他那相当的压个要什么事，我的基本上我这要么的是，我这是我到这，平面下巴的，那个就是没找这手用对吧？现在可能是现在的那下关，这下过嘛是吧？我第三道我这个รับ住当的，是我他感觉。
So as Krishna read from the commentary and explained, the point we are trying to make here is how detrimental it is for a man, that could apply for women as well, to attach to a woman's body in general. And so that's like talking in a very general sense, isn't it? Body as a whole. Now, if we look at the specifics, so to speak, in details, there's nothing in every detail, specificities that's worth attachment. Because as we said earlier, our body contains 32 impurities or impure substances, isn't it? Yeah? And every one of them really doesn't seem worth our attachment. It's all, not necessarily a good stuff, right? Foul smells and this and that. Is it as if we cut open our body and look inside, then we can see, all the constituents and elements that constitute the body, and many of them are very impure in nature. And the one point that's being made here is that, we eat food. Then, of course, we eat food to sustain our life, but then the food it is processed and then it becomes a feces, right? Excrement, isn't it? Actually, the food is not only producing excrement, but food and what we drink, all of those also produce saliva and these other things, isn't it? And so excrement nobody is attached to, isn't it? You poop, smell, right? But saliva, it seems like the idea is you're kissing and you're kind of, enjoying the saliva. It's the same. Come out of the same cause, right? And why we are so repulsed, yucked by the feces and excrement, and then the saliva is, right? Think about that. I mean, that's what they say. Think about that. It's the same cause producing the two results. One result we said yucky, don't, close our nose, and one we are enjoying it, kind of thing, So it's not something. But if you want something that's clean and pure, right? But we really don't. It mentions about, I guess, cotton pillow. Maybe those days they don't have the long pillow, right? The pillow is very smooth and very delicate, nice to hug. It doesn't have all the impurities we're talking about, but we are not really attached to the pillow, are we, that much? And so they said, if you really like to hug something that's pure, more relatively speaking, hug the pillow. Yeah.
Oh, did you casa? Shows all young, doing in Basso, Jesse, 6 the Jabet, Jandina, so never some Tony David to you. Doing in Bashara, you make me to Dibby. Momba Nani. 싱베르는 잠라 데레요 시 네보샤와 미누소시 싱베 상와라 잠와텔 민가시 초아 thought Sheba, Rigshala, Meshaba, Mezon, Shaba, Yeve, T, Mediso Sheba was. Mezon, Shaba, Medo, Yuji, Yeki Dawana, Kede Mezon, Shaba, Medo Yana, one Rudu Sumja Tuju, Deve, Ribe, Siju, Seb Juve, Chave Penju Deva, La, Chen Shai, Damji Xie Lam, Chuba Shibe, Xie Pumeji, Liu Mezama Tela, Chu Bandu, Chuba Xie, Xie Meribani, Tsemu Mezama, Pumbo Nandi, New Jibushin Xie was up, or did it out. She's a premier Shabbat, John Dear is going to die. Dube Tuji Minyo, she was in the Mizon, Pandulan, in the Delia Shabbat or did. Mizon to Yamdo Baby, so Yeza Yamdo Jani, Jedaba Jiwaris, said that this is the Shira Kursa, Top Dubodu, Shira is over there. Mizon, the Shakba, Miz, Yekitavana. So Rudy said, that kind of Mizon, this is so you say, Rubet, no, Rubata Chad, in the Shilo, God, she said of Dashavina, did no longer got so much of Jashida Majomara. So tell Chagamara, said, then I get Pumil Lu to the dinner he showed, show you how you lead the dinner he showed his, or this is.
So as Geshe explained that, of course, we're looking from men's perspective, a women's body that could be applied same to the other way around. That's my footnote, just a reminder. So what really our body is, in some sense, is like a network of skeletons. That's all connected by so many muscles and ligaments and all of that. And it's very much plastered or cemented by flesh, isn't it? And so that's why we don't see all the things yucky inside our body, because it's beautifully covered by the skin, isn't it? Yeah. And so that's why when we don't see the impurities that constitute this body, then we have a different perception of the body, right? And we attach to it. But if we look like from the impurities point of view, then we see, okay, this is not really worth getting attached to, whether it's men's body or women's body. It's the same way of looking at those.
That Maison is something to Maison Shaki Shabe, Deji Sheba, Shivani, Shindi Miroso, she Ko Don Dedani, Shaji Shibas, Shaji Sadi, Gilonjawati Shibales. Now the Kadishima Kadati Kashuda, and the Leje. Rubel Levatit, La Lule Tingawa Zabetel, Shivanam the Maison Shezoda, Maison Shiva Na, Shiva Navda, Shiva Sawashi, Shiva Meabara Pola Shasheva, Ramunamji, Madon She Sodam, Gouni. Nye le jang, lun de, zaju jine ne, bakba shirwe, yoba, shaba la, ne ku mai go yoba, terapo ne, tawa sha shezo da, mizo na zo, rab yukang, rive chungur, yoba shezo da, rive chungje jikba she,这本是下的差给写些章，留到节目重建呢，这里吧呢是年本是接受忙的时候大ro是，他好像绿门上这数据送一些的，我他妈查个这些看那差的那的呢，下的几把的六把的，我这个真的。这收入在是吧？绿门上的，但说绿门上的，现在这个的。Premier Maison Tananti, because he care of Luigi Jones.
So as earlier we said that our human body, generally speaking, constitute 32 impure substances or impurities. The Tibetan word is mizangwa. And that is same pretty much with men's body or women's body or one's own body or somebody's body, right? So those 32 impurities would include, of course, feces that we expel out of the body, right? And blood and flesh and pus and mucus and snorts, and now you get the whole hang of it, right? All the things that coming out of the body that smells, that stings, as we said. You sting. It's coming out of the body. So whether we are dealing with attachment to one's own body or to somebody's body, so as we reflect on all these impurities that's coming out of the body, right? That smells and that stings and, that rots us, so to speak. Geshe said maybe that's the idea. Then we can really started to see it's not point of getting attached to the body, isn't it? But when we don't think about these things, then there is the tendency to get attached to one's body or somebody's body. Yeah.
There's that. Lusa Kala Sha Mirikba, Nisi, that day, Chito Be Shawu Lulu Shaward, Seven Shaward, that was your deal. Share permit, yes, Sim Kala Gashi, Lusu Kala Gashi. Kala yang sha Amerikani, Xiang, Chu permit you lose Kala Gashi Tabana, Dani permit you Luigi, Sha Rixan Jamshi, Yali when the Kona Gashi, Sha Xin, Xingbi Rixa so Kala yang, Mesha was he, Yana Telani, Luigi Rikbatan, make a town de Cote Dunani, Shini. Semeva Chibayi Jim Gota Ranshi Jengi Shatelani doing Yambachi good the Chui Ribata Tawa Chi Minde Deva Shadina Deda Mizibe Luigi Shada Gashin Shavani Meriso Tell us maybe Da Minduji Sim Yova Kona Rigin Tandeva Yana Tetana Chu Duji Shabe Nies Jova Sim Kayan Batene Suje Maibe Tane Ribata Da Minula Kang Rigin Tani be Luteni Pembo Inji Chu Deve Simpson Shiba Maybe Membena Jume Live Se Lumbo Xin de Monji Triba Chu Similar Gashin Shani Teleshin Tom Maybe Lula Chuva Shiva Tini Chishi Shades Tom Maybe Triba Baju Sebe Sede Shede then Gendun Puasola Chu River Tai so Shada Similar大家下边都没兴趣去被这些消息写吧，有的是他第二个就，律师看下边是律师下边那图书写在这，就是这了我当这个是，我这不是就是我家这么什么下线的呢？什么的可叔叔也批每个同样的为这个是要么了，现在这批就都还没这上的这里都没人，对吧？这都没人。现在律师刚来，律师呢，图书馆是对了下这个意思，他什么下边呢？第一被我们找这个嘛的，什么的每个同样的为这个没子，这个就对吧？这个嘛的是，我之前我律师刚来要下没这个，我这个日本当时送过去是吧？
So basically, we ask these questions to ourselves. And like from men's perspective, what am I really attached to? Is it the body of the woman or the mind of the woman, right? I mean, the women can do the same, right? And if it's to the body, as we talked about this, we, only when the body is alive, we seem to be very attached. When the body is, dead, then we are repulsed by it. It's really not so much to the body that we're attached in some sense, isn't it? Or at least we are being, not ourselves. We have a double standard here, kind of thing. And if we are attached to the sort of I don't know, is that the texture of the body or the smoothness of the body, women's, or of that? Well, there are many other smooth things we could get attached to. That's more clean, right? As we said, the cotton pillow, high quality. Geshe didn't say that, but we are not. Yeah. But then if we say, oh, no, I'm attached to the beautiful mind. Well, you are lying. Mind is imperceptible. How do you see somebody's mind, By the way, I know you can't use women's mind to do anything, fulfill your desires. So you are not being honest, right? And so this is how we question ourselves. What am I really attached to, the body or the mind? If it's the body, then we talk about, right, our double standards and all of that issues. But if it's the mind, we are really lying because we can't use women's mind to fulfill men's desire, whatever. So that's not being honest here. So this is how, we started to become a critical thinker, and that helps us to be able to deal with our attachment to each other's body.
Shayu Pime so Shenji Leoni Rangla Shishin Modi Machube Mezonwa Kanshi Maju Mezonwa Medowa Samni Mother Mesheti Mirigba She Mela Rangya Lu Mezonwa Kanshi Ti Tasu so tu jumbar gogune mezon baji zabe ranshi je nimba ta du ngozu du juna yang mezon to ba minjo wadi shindu ngotsa she se tingbe se di shindu mirigbe tuba jela se che mewe nezu sheba was te da premier lieu ba nezu yaba ba sozo lieu la inem Ninzeko di mezonwa de card narjo mezonwa shida da so lu chef di wa shida pe chayi pe le da so lu ni de nezon de jigba yores shida ti da de so lu nezon de yaba ma da di shidi lumbo shu du ja ji res what is it that
so what Geshe read explains that because we talk about men's attachment to the women's body and how the women's body constitutes 32 impure substances, and I said in the footnote many times, same with the men. But it's the same with one's own body too. We ourselves are not really aware of one's own body nature, all the impurities. That's why we attach to our own body as well. Because our own body and somebody else's body are of the same nature, constituted by 32 impurities. If we do understand impurities coming out of the body that stings and smells and that pukes us, then we are not going to get attached to, isn't it? But we really don't pay attention to that. We don't think about it.
Lu mezon cha yuan yang yeb de khador tede rigjas yide cha to yeb tede cha nyang tede na tingi dibyo tamate tuji nima shin de se wozer sa de ligwar khache pema shuni dama namba jeba Jeva yev de khado leki tede rigja sama so puna yang ti la mejaba ba ne cha da zhengbu xin de se mezon la sha yin xian shebe semyini mezana teme kami lügi sevla kyo gyudin ji içeri gade gashi şaba şeva ne şimdi merik so şey denju cevabı Tokyo'ya çöge 되게 도번제 도스 어디가 자 뉴스 배하마로 뉴스 하마로 신이 소르메자데 배 제스음 소르 간디지레스 다 메자 배마서 비트마메가 시라 야고요레스 어텔 마자시 소르 위에 상기셔마시야디 시다 누르셔보시브레스 세데니 예지 혀알라게 그래서 톡 용해서 이게 송부를 했어요.
So as Krishna read and explained that maybe it's more like reflecting within ourselves, say, what am I really attached to? Is it the body? Is it the mind? Is it the shape? Is it the color? Is it the smell? What is it, isn't it? Okay. And so as we critically analyze, right, every one of those things, then we will start to see the loopholes in our attachment and why it is so detrimental. Okay. And if we say it's the shape, it is the color, it is the smell, well, there are beautiful flowers that's so clean and pure. I'm thinking about lotus, or I can say even rose, right? It's beautiful color, it's beautiful shape, it smells really good. You know, nothing foul comes out of it. But we are not attached to that, isn't it? But we are attached to the body so much. And so we started to do that critical analysis, whereas the flowers do not constitute the 32 or 36 impurities that we often talk about, whereas our body is constituted by 32 or 36 impurities. And this is whereas the great Bodhisattva, Mahasattva Shantideva talks about this. He kind of feels a little down. How are we that, that we are attached to the body so much when there are, so to speak, many better options and preferences, but we don't. We just get. So he's just talking about this with a little sadness in the heart. Why is this? So basically, as Geshe mentioned earlier, it's due to our lack of knowledge, or maybe the straight put it, ignorance about our own body and the nature that this is happening, isn't it? But if we do know about our own body, all the 32 or 36 impurities, then we will wake up, isn't it? And it's the lack of knowledge, of ignorance, that's kind of wailing, our minds. And we would like to stop there, and we will do the prayers and everything, and then I will, request our new managers due managers to talk about things. Where is my book? Now you know where the page numbers are, right? Everybody is very pro. So. Lord Jazu, Vidum, Begade, Gesan, Pongwe, Judom, members. Tenpa Zinla, Wando Jichobe, Changye, Shogun Chol, Sowan De, Mawan Dame, Kunyen Donga De, Kangri Jongso, Nida, Sese, Jamgun Yawa, Niwa, Yapse, Tangson Tinzi, Mabe, Shiwa, Tenzin Gebe, Jingon Zebe, Sheje, Nikun Changju, Tendu. Longdo Tamje, Bebe, Beyunje, Duja Gazu, Gundo, Shabde, Tesam Gonda, Jeju, Zombeze, Yongjo, Yuri, Tube, Nyabi, Longri, Dejen, Nubu, Bedembe, Tubden, Kangri, Tambo, Shabde, Dona, Homen, Zeba, Namda, Denda, Robe, Pende, Jumbe. Lundo, Gumi, Chebe, Chileji, Kesam, Dije, Dendo, Shabde. Jije Lame, Tuje, Malamda, Kesan, Duje, Tendam, Same, Chosun, Todo, Jido, Domba, Jida, Membe, Dungu, Lundo, Sho. Ramjan Shinge Wombo Tseba Me Zodo Namje Geyun Drama Chojo Zeye Lazo Tamje Je Daden Mishi Chobe Mudu Tobden Jeda Losan Yawa Yi Shidu Tenban Zimbe Peyu Tade Duja Kyonge Shinyen Jo Yangdu Ninje Wombo Shabden Jigden Sumgun Chana Bemen Jo Dembe Zawa Soso Tawa Namda Sudin Yangda Langba Yi Losan Jenden Bedu Tujon Gyaltsen Nunjin Yangbe Shi Samjo Namje Sangzin Junbe Bomjon Shila Songjo Jebe Den Mada Chenbo Shabden Sho Chebe Donga Kowan Bozo Den Zhenbe Rilang Siyu Bumda Zhenbe Denden Leishe Zhangzha Jo Kidu Xinyin Chenbo Shabden Kebe Langdo Guxie Zedra Je Zunbe Chara Nizo Rangza Sangbe Duje Rigo Yixie No Sumden Xinyin Chenbo Shabden Tesam Rola Chewe Dende Ye Menjong Dajue Zangmen Sijin Lajin Zedin Dende Peshawe Zenden Xinyin Chenbo Shabden Chozon Gyawa Seje Chenla Da Tuden Tamjin Songmen Chenle Daja Lasam Dabe Denbe Cheda Mumben Lindu Jo Chanjo Simjo Rimbo Je Manje Pana Kijo Je Kewa Nyamba Kone Gondom Bewa Sho Tongni Tawa Rimbo Je Manje Pana Nyamba Meba Yang Gone Gondom Bewa Jo Sa Shi Beji Joshin Medo Cham Rira Lingxi Ninde Yenba Sangye Shindo Mede Wewa Dogun Namda Jinla Juba Sho Kanri Rabe Korwe Shingam De Pendan Dewa Malu Jongwe Jenre Sewang Tenzin Shabe Sidin Bado Denjo Je Idang Guru Ra Mandela Niyan Daya Min Kyawa Kundo Yangda Lama Dan Deme Cheji Bela Sada Lamye Yunden Rabzo Nendo Je Changin Go Ba Nyurdo